Yes, Geeta ma'am.
Yeah, we'll start. Yeah.
Can start.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. This is Shah Mandeep Singh Kalsi.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Geeta Rajan. Welcome back to day 6 of our faculty development program. Yesterday, we had an enriching session with Ms. Jayabala Girish, where we explored Bloom's taxonomy, cognitive levels, action verbs, and various domains of learning. Her insights gave us a deeper understanding of structured learning and assessment strategies. Today, we are fortunate to have her with us once again as she continues to guide us on this journey. We'll look forward to another engaging and insightful session. Without further delay, I invite Ms. Jayabala Girish ma'am to take over. Ma'am, the session is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. And today I'll be recapitulating whatever I taught yesterday. Just a quick
Sure, ma'am.
recap.
Yes.
And then we will go further dealing with affective and psychomotor. And tomorrow we can deal with the classroom management, taking into consideration various approaches like humanistic, social, cognitive theory, and all those theories.
Sure.
Okay. So that, it then hopefully whatever we contemplated, we complete. Okay. Thank you. So yesterday we started our discussion by mere introduction of the Bloom's taxonomy. So the compilation, I spoke about the 3 domains, the subdivisions. Okay. So I also emphasized that it starts with simplest behavior to the most complex. So Bloom's taxonomy is easily understood by everyone, but mostly widely applied in academic engagements, especially in setting the paper, while setting the objectives, before teaching, and while deciding the learning outcome. So when we talk about the program objective and the course objective while mapping the course objective and program objectives, the cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domains are taken into consideration. So just a quick recap. The cognitive domain, as I told you, it involves the knowledge and the development of intellectual skills. So when I talk about intellectual skills, it includes recall or recognition of specific facts. So procedural patterns, okay, concepts that serve in the development of intellectual abilities and skills. So there are 6 major categories as we saw yesterday. The major categories are basically starting from the simplest behavior to the most complex. So from the lowest order of thinking to the highest order of thinking. So as we saw, the categories can be thought of as degrees of difficulties. Okay. So first one must be mastered before the next one can take place. Someone asked me the question yesterday, if we can only start with analysis, synthesis, and evaluation in a particular, you can say, level of cognition. So of course, once they have attained comprehension and application and analysis, the synthesis and evaluation can be started with. So it is based on the degrees of difficulties. So the student must master one before he goes on to the next. That is the main ideology behind taxonomy or cascading or cake-like layering of the comprehension and cognition. So if we talk about the categories, just quick recap. So knowledge, it's recall of data or information, mere recall. It doesn't involve any further comprehension. So it is like reciting a policy, quoting prices from memory to a customer, know the safety rules. Today I have changed the examples based on the cerebral level of the audience. Sorry, yesterday I started from the first grade and all, thinking, that was the most basic rudiments that we teach the students when we deal with the B.Ed and M.Ed students. But today I have changed my examples, keeping in view the audience. Okay. So the key words that decide the knowledge aspect of cognition is the key verbs. When I say words, it's verbs. So it defines, describes, identifies, then knows, labels, lists, then matches. Then we also saw names, enumerates, outlines, recalls. Okay, just reproduction of the facts. So second level is the comprehension. So when we talk about the level of comprehension, it is understanding the meaning, translation, interpolation, or interpretation of instructions and problems. So state a problem in any one, in his or her own words. Okay, example, rewrite the principles of test writing or explain in one's own words the steps for performing a complex task. Okay, then you can also translate an equation into computer spreadsheet. So here the key verbs are comprehends, converts, distinguishes, estimates, explains, extends, generalizes, infers, interprets, paraphrases. So all these verbs are already, we have looked through the verbs last evening. Okay, then comes application. So when we talk about the concept, any usage of a concept in a new situation or in unprompted use of an abstraction. So there is an unprompted use of an abstraction or concretizing something which is abstract, then that is known as apply. So apply, whatever is learned in the classroom, it is applied into a novel situation in the workplace. Okay, so when we talk about the skill education, especially the students learn to draw the blood in the morning, and in the afternoon when they are in the OJT or on the job training, they actually see how the blood is drawn, they comprehend, then they start applying after a month or so. So that is how, there is a gradation in their cognition or gradation in their order of thinking. So when we talk about examples in application, it can be using a manual to calculate an employee's vacation time for HR. Okay. Then apply laws of statistics to evaluate the reliability of a written test, so on and so forth. So key verbs are applies, then changes, computes, constructs, demonstrates, discovers, manipulates, modifies, operates, then predicts, prepares, produces, relates, shows, and solves. So these are the various verbs that are used for application. Now when we come to analysis, okay, analysis is separating the material or concepts into component parts so that its organizational structure can be understood. So it is mainly distinguishing between facts and inferences. Today I have changed my verbatim. in order to cater to the audience. Okay, I hope I am successful in doing so. So the examples are troubleshoot a piece of equipment by using logical deduction, or recognize logical fallacies, we can say, in reasoning, gather information from a department and select the required tasks for training. Okay, the verbs for analysis are breaking down or breaks down, to enable the student to break down the various parts of automobile structure, or comparing and contrasting diagrams, or the student draws, he deconstructs, okay, differentiates, discriminates, distinguishes. All these are the vital verbs that are used under analysis. And when we talk about synthesis, so yesterday we also saw directly evaluation and creation. But evaluation, synthesis is also another, it is a revised level of Bloom's. So synthesis was added, but then usually, when we are dealing with the academic engagement, we directly go from analysis to evaluation. So synthesis is not usually taken into consideration very popularly. It's predominantly analysis and evaluation and creation. So when we talk about creation, it is selecting the most effective solution, okay, like making judgment about the value of ideas or materials. Then like in HR, if I have to give the example of an HR background for the HR students, it is like to enable the students to hire the most qualified candidate, we can say, or to enable the students to select the most effective solution among the choice, among the ones given, and explain and justify a new budget for finance. Okay, so the key verbs are appraises, compares, concludes, criticizes, then defends. Okay, yesterday we also had a mention of assess. So basically these are the verbs that are used for evaluation. Now let us come to the affective domain. Affective domain I had introduced last evening, but then we had not dealt with the verb charts in detail. So affective domain also today I have taken into consideration the streams of knowledge that you all belong to, and I have paralleled the examples, or I'm exemplifying from the stream of knowledge that you belong to, so that you can relate with your syllabus and the subject. Whatever best I could do, I have culled the resources. Hope it reaches you well. Okay. So now when we talk about the affective domain, as we have already discussed yesterday, before going into the specific examples, when we talk about the affective domain, this domain includes the manner in which we deal with things emotionally. So there is an emotional quotient that has to be sensitized in the students. It can be in any grade. Okay, it need not be only in the formative years of their learning. It can be even in their advanced level of learning, that feelings and values, appreciation, enthusiasm, you can say motivation, then attitudes, all these things can be altered even at a advanced stage of learning, not essentially in the formative learning. So the 5 major categories that we listed last evening were the receiving phenomena, basically. Now in the receiving mode, they have this willingness to hear. They are made aware of certain, you can say they identify themselves, or they are made aware of certain situations, and selected attention. They are able to give a selective attention towards a particular aspect or an issue, or any, they hold cudgel against something, like they are made aware of something at least. Okay, so here the examples are: listen with reverence, or listen to others with respect, listen for and remember the names of newly introduced people. Now in a classroom especially, why did I take this example now? Because when we are dealing with many batches now, especially in my case, I have to deal with so many batches of different domains, different verticals, and so it doesn't actually, it's not possible for me to remember all the names. But then the student feels special, when the names of the students are taken in the class, instead of just addressing him or her without calling his name. So that is an effort can be taken. This is a receiving phenomena for the teachers. So for an educator, not essentially teacher, for an educator. So listen for and remember the name of newly introduced people. This comes under the category of receiving. So it has an emotional connect to it. Okay. So the key verbs here are chooses, then describes, follows, gives, identifies, locates. So as I told you yesterday, in affective domain, the verbs are blurry. Okay, the same verb can be used in different levels, but then the context is more important. I'll be giving you ample examples today of psychomotor and affective, okay, so that we need not repeat any of it tomorrow. So responding to a phenomena is the second level of affective domain. So here the active participation on the part of the learners. So first is only receiving, being aware of, okay, feeling special when the name is taken. Now second is responding to phenomenon. So when I say active participation on the part of the learners, it is attending to something or attending to a particular phenomena or reacting to a particular phenomenon. So here the learning outcomes emphasize compliance in responding, okay, or willingness to respond, or satisfaction in responding, or motivation. So the example we can say, participate in classroom discussions. There are some students, even we cannot have a homogeneous classroom. So in a heterogeneous classroom, there are some students who have to be motivated to talk. So this responding second level of affective domain, it mainly talks about, it mainly speaks of willingness to respond. That is, we have to evoke that willingness among the students or create an atmosphere wherein he feels confident to participate in the class, not having the fear of being ridiculed. Okay, mostly students, of any age for that matter, they initially have this hesitation, or they are hesitant to respond because they are scared of being ridiculed or scared of being turned into a mockery. Okay, whatever answer that they give. Because see, it's very easy to comment on somebody, or it is very easy to belittle someone. But to step into somebody's shoes and to empathize his behavior is what Bloom talks in affective domain. So the classroom has to be any egalitarian classroom. It has to be the behavior inside the classroom, the educator as well as the educand. It has to be maintained in such a manner that there is an optimum participation in the class discussions. So responding state is where the student responds voluntarily. He voluntarily gives a presentation, questions new ideas, concepts, models, okay, in order to fully understand them. And then he also knows the safety rules and practices them. So these are the examples of responding as a phenomena, which is the second rung of affective domain. So the key verbs here are answers, like the student, enable the student to answer, okay, or enable the student to assist someone in the discussion, okay, confirm the fact, discusses, greets, then again performs, practices. So these are all responding to stimuli. Clear? Then comes valuing. As I already told you, to just further recapitulate the value rung, it is the worth or a value of a person which is attached to a particular object, phenomenon, or behavior. So whatever value the person attaches to a particular ideology, the value that the person attaches to a particular phenomenon or object. So it's a further progression of their affection towards a particular behavior, towards a particular phenomenon. So here, this ranges from simplest acceptance to more complex state of commitment. So valuing, when we say, it is based on the internalization of set of specified values. Now here, internalization, when I say, now once the student starts responding, okay, he also starts valuing the expressions of other learners. So in his overt behavior, okay, he tries to understand that there can be different opinions. He doesn't get agitated. He values the expression. Okay, so these are the set of specified values, while the clues of these values are expressed in the learner's overt behavior and are most identifiable in the classroom. For example, now to take an example, it is like demonstrate belief in the democratic process. Okay, so as to enable the student to demonstrate belief in the democratic process, or to enable the student to sensitize the student towards the individual and cultural differences, value diversity, and to enable them to show the ability to solve problems. These are all valuing, where he proposes a plan to social improvement. Okay, and he follows through with commitment. So in this level of affective domain, in any management studies also, the matters that one feels strongly about, expression of the matters that one feels strongly about is what one has to evoke in valuing level of affective domain. So when we talk about the verbs which are to be used when we are setting the objective in affective domain for valuing, they are he completes, he demonstrates, differentiates, explains again. Okay, then he shares, or you can say he justifies, he supports. Okay, then next comes the organization. So when we say organizing values into priorities, so here the student has emphatically taken up some set of values, okay, in resolving conflicts between them, and he creates a unique value system. So here the emphasis is on comparing, relating, and synthesizing values. So we come across such students only after they attain certain maturity level where their value system is organized, and it is not, there are no blurry boundaries in their value system. It's well set, it is well organized, and we recognize them based on the system. Okay, so here the examples can be: recognize the need for balance between freedom and responsible behavior, then accept the responsibility for one's behavior. For example, if we are taking HR management as a subject, so to enable the student to accept a responsibility for for any behavior for that matter, okay, or for any attrition, for example, in a particular department. So accept the responsibility for major attrition only during certain span of time. So that is how, that's organization. That is prioritizing by having different conflicts between the value system, or creating a unique value system, you can say. Okay, it stands out. Okay, the value system, once you know one student particularly through his behavioral pattern, we can gauge the value system. That is the level of organization. So explain the role of systematic planning in solving problems, or accept professional and ethical standards. These are various examples wherein we know that the student's organization of his set values are concrete now. It's frozen. Okay. So prioritizing time effectively to meet the needs of the organization, family, and self. All these are the organization of the value system. And then the verbs that can be used again: adheres to, okay, then defends, formulates, generalizes, integrates, you can say synthesizes. Okay, then the last in this, the tip of the pyramid, is internalization. Now when we talk about internalization, it is characterization. Okay, it has a value system that controls. Now, till now he was abiding to a particular value system. Now he is completely under control of that behavior. So now the behavior is so pervasive, okay, it is so consistent, it is so dominant that it is predictable. That is internalization. Okay, so any set of behavior which can be predicted from a particular individual is that stage of his behavior is internalizing values, or internalization, or characterization. Okay, yesterday I gave example of nonviolence and ISRO and the space station, whom we remember when we hear all these words. So it is basically here the instructional objectives are concerned with the general pattern of adjustment of the students. Okay, the example is showing self-reliance when working independently, or cooperate in group activities, display teamwork. Okay, using an objective approach in problem solving, displaying a professional commitment to ethical practice on a daily basis. So here it is internalized. Some people, no matter what, they don't bother about the consequences, and they are almost late every day. So there is a simmering discontent which is all pervasive. So this pervasive, consistent behavior leads to predictable behavior. That is internalization of values or characterization. So the key verbs here are displays, okay, very important verb, and performs, again proposes, then questions. So these are the various verbs. Now before we go on to the psychomotor, let us just see the various examples, okay, of affective, because I had not dealt with affective in depth yesterday. So human resource management, the various levels that I just quickly revised. Receiving is awareness and willingness to pay attention. to pay attention. So recognize the. Then responding, it's a second. Here, by the end of the session, the student or the you can say the trainer participates in diversity and inclusion. He participates. Then valuing is, so when we talk about valuing, to enable him to demonstrate empathy and fairness in employee relations and conflict resolution. Okay. Then organizing, when we talk about internalizing values and prioritizing, it is to integrate ethical principles into HR decision-making processes. Then characterize with values. So, as I just told you, characterization is internalization, wherein the value system is set to such an extent that we can predict his behavior. So, to enable the student to advocate for employee well-being and ethical leadership in the workplace. So, these are the examples as far as HRM is concerned. And yesterday I just took the topics. So, another topic that emerged during our discussion was entrepreneurship. So, under entrepreneurship, receiving will be to acknowledge the importance of innovation and risk-taking in business. So, to enable the student to acknowledge the importance of innovation and risk-taking in business. Okay. Then the second level of affective domain would be to enable the students to engage in entrepreneurial workshops and networking activities. So, it is responding. So, as I already mentioned in the previous slide, responding is active participation. Receiving is simply merely being aware of, willingness to pay attention. While when we talk about responding, it is active participation and reaction. Okay. So here, when we talk about entrepreneurship, its responding is engage in entrepreneurial workshops and networking activities. And when we talk about valuing, it is demonstrate perseverance in overcoming startup challenges. Okay. So to enable the trainer to demonstrate perseverance in overcoming startup challenges. Then organizing is to develop a business plan that aligns with ethical and social responsibility principles. So he has a set value system now. He is able to develop his own business plan that aligns with. So there is a progression in his behavior. There is a progression in his affective domain levels. I'll be also showing you the question paper so that you know how to evaluate all the three domains in the students. And so the question paper should also have all the three domains. Okay, not equally contributing to each domain, but at least, it can have lopsided questions, but definitely it should be touched upon. All the domains should be touched upon. Okay. So characterizing, when we talk about it, is exemplify the entrepreneurial leadership by consistently taking initiative and motivating others. So then it is the internalization. Fine. So when we take the example of innovation as a stream of knowledge, then when we are teaching something pertaining to innovation, then it is like in the receiving stage, to enable the student to recognize the significance of creative problem solving in business. Then he contributes his ideas in brainstorming sessions for a new product development. That comes under responding. And what comes under valuing? Commit to continuous learning and adapting to emerging technologies. And what comes under organizing? Prioritizing innovation by integrating new solutions into business strategies. And last, characterizing, championing a culture of innovation by consistently promoting and implementing new ideas. I have also taken examples of scenarios in order to further drill the concept. So now the scenario first. For example, if there is a progress, I told you, from simply being aware of a concept, which is receiving, to fully integrating into their values and behaviors, which is internalization or characterizing. Okay. So the scenario one that I have taken here is introducing an eco-friendly packaging solution in a business, for example. So here the receiving stage is awareness and willingness to pay attention. So a team member acknowledges the need for sustainable packaging. So seeing the degradation of the environment, he acknowledges the need. So he just receives, he is aware, he is willing to pay attention towards that aspect of life. Okay, so he acknowledges the need for sustainable packaging after attending a seminar on environmental impact. So suddenly he happens to attend a seminar or he happens to see a movie where they are vocal about the environment degradation. So then he starts it, he broods about it, and he acknowledges the need. That is the first level of affective domain. Okay, the verb used here are recognizes, listens, shows awareness. It's merely superficially showing awareness. Then action is that he starts listening to the discussions about biodegradable packaging and its benefits. So because he has learned about the sustainable development goals, or he has seen how environment is being depleted, he gets into the mode of acknowledging the need of sustainable packaging. Okay, then he responds. How does he respond? By active participation. Now, how will he respond by active participation? He engages in discussions. Okay, he takes active role, or he takes active part in discussing on how to integrate eco-friendly packaging into companies' products. So he participates, he discusses, he shows interest. Okay, then he takes part in brainstorming sessions and proposes his ideas for reducing plastic waste. He talks about the carbon footprint, and he talks about the consequences of not valuing the mother nature. Clear? Then comes the next level of in the same scenario of introducing a bio friendly or eco-friendly packaging. So here he talks about the product development. He demonstrates commitment by advocating for sustainable packaging. So here the product development team, that particular employee, he demonstrates his commitment. Okay, then he supports, he appreciates, then actively researches the present case studies, and then the impact of a particular product on the environment, how successfully the impact can be eliminated or reduced. Okay, so what are the various biodegradable materials that can be used as packaging, how it can be recycled, how it can be reduced, how it can be reused. So that is valuing, commitment, and appreciation. So he demonstrates a commitment. Okay, then the next stage is organizing, prioritizing, and integrating the values into decision making. So here, the company prioritizes sustainability, or the employee prioritizes sustainability over profit as well. Okay, he prioritizes sustainability by restructuring its supply chain, and he wants only eco-friendly products. Or like we can see there is an organization or prioritizing wherein we will see him chucking the carbon products, or not using plastic, completely no plastic usage in day-to-day activities, like carrying cloth bag instead of a plastic bag, refusing to accept plastic bag from a vendor. So this is organizing. He prioritizes sustainability over even his discomfort. So this sort of behavior, to enable the student to prioritize sustainability over the other choices of behavior. Okay, so that is organizing. So we have to enable them not only to respond. Our lesson or session should not only enable them to respond and receive, but also to value and organize. Okay, so the action would be aligning the business goals with environmental responsibility and adjust company policies to reflect the value. Fine. So then the last one is internalization. So acting consistently. I told you it would be so pervasive that we can predict his behavior. So acting consistently in accordance with the values. When we talk about acting consistently, like he champions sustainability by becoming an industry leader in green packaging solutions, or exemplifies. He acts as an example. He exemplifies to enable the student to exemplify, to enable the students to influence, to enable the students to advocate. Okay, these are the verbs that can be used. So consistently, he invests in innovation, educating other businesses, or channelizing, or taking up the CSR initiatives to focus on sustainability. So the CSR can be for various, under section 13, if you see, the CSR can be utilized for various activities, or in taking forward the benefits. But then here, if an employee has internalized sustainability, then he would definitely try to diversify the CSR initiatives only on sustainability. That is his internalization or characterizing. Till now, whatever I said, I've been talking for over half an hour now. Did you understand whatever I said till now? Am I audible? Did you understand? Because I've been talking. It's more like a monologue. Sorry. Did you understand? Or are you with me all? Are we on the same page? Okay. Even such emojis will do. At least I know that I am interacting with, Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, thank you. So I have given examples of multiple scenarios so that you can relate with it. Okay, thank you. So now let us go further. Today I want to complete the psychomotor as well. So without any delay, now the next scenario, entrepreneurship. If you are launching a tech startup, okay, there is an young entrepreneur. Suppose he is developing a mobile app for personal finance. Now, finance, fiscal prudence, these are the words that whenever even a graduate, he wants to seek admission into a particular college, the first thing is what is the placement value, or he will talk about what would be the package that he would get after completing the course from that particular college. So always they are fiscally highly prudent, this particular generation that we are dealing with. So when we are talking about entrepreneurship, launching a tech startup, it has to be the first level of affective domain is receiving. Okay. So example is the entrepreneur recognizes the growing need for better personal finance tools after reading market research. So here he is launching a startup, or he's launching a mobile, or he's developing a mobile app for personal finance management. So if he is working on that, okay, so his receiving stage would be just recognizing the growing need for better personal finance tools. So there are people, who just take into consideration the, what is that score? They call it, even in GPay, it comes, your credit score. There is a word for it. I'm not able to recollect the word. Not CRISIL. What is the score, Geeta madam?
CIBIL score, CIBIL.
Very good. Yeah, CIBIL score. So they are very much aware of all these things. Even in GPay also, if you see, you get your score so that, based on that, you are given the loan. It is like, foreseeing your financial abilities or prudence. Okay. So here also in the receiving stage, he recognizes the need for a better financial person to develop a finance tool. So that, and he researches the market, and he recognizes, listens, he shows awareness to such fiscal prudence, just awareness in the first stage. Then he listens to user feedback on financial difficulties, and he realizes the gap in existing solutions. Okay. Then in second, after receiving and responding, the entrepreneur engages in startup events. He pitches competitions to refine their idea. Okay. Then he participates, he discusses, he shows interest, then actively seeks mentorship, refines a business model, starts building a prototype. So in responding, he is not only being aware of, but he is also building a prototype. Okay. Now his main aim, he is here to build a financial app for a mobile. Okay. That is that has been seeded in his mind already. And that seeding of that idea has to be concretized, right? So here the second stage is responding. So to enable the students to engage in startup events, or to get into the competitions, or to get into such, fiscal debates to further refine their idea. So he builds action here is he builds a prototype. Fine. And then after building a prototype, he starts demonstrating passion by dedicating time and resource to develop a user-friendly app. So with strong security features, he starts demonstrating passion, and he dedicates his entire time and resource and energy to only develop a user-friendly app. That is to enable him to demonstrate, to enable him to appreciate, to enable him to support. Okay. Here the emphasis is on user privacy, okay, and financial literacy in the app's design. So he values, that is, he demonstrates his cognizance in various features of the app. He jots down what all features should be there in the app, or he even talks about a margin or a line or an alert, okay, which will alert if the person is overspending. So this will, improve his savings by the end of the week. Or there can be, he can develop a daily tracker or weekly tracker in his app. Okay, that is, he values, he demonstrates passion by innovation. Okay, he decides on even giving a beep or an alarm, so that a particular user does not spend over that. Okay, so that emphasizes user privacy, financial literacy in the app's design. So that is the valuing. Then organizing, when we are talking about organizing, it is prioritizing and integrating. So the entrepreneur will prioritize ethical financial practices, okay, by ensuring transparency. Now I received some chat hour. 1 second. There was a beep. Did I receive anything? I don't know. There was just a beep or somebody joined probably.
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Am I clear till now?
Yeah. It's very much clear.
Okay. Fine. So here, when he is developing the app, okay, he prioritizes the ethical financial practices and by ensuring transparency in fees, in data protection policies. So most of the times what happens, we get duped, and there are infringers. There is infringement in the bank account. Okay, that is one of the major threats of having an app. So he creates such a you can say fortification in the app that there is no jailbreak. Okay, so no one can break through the fortification and get into the data. So he's in organizing or in prioritizing and in integrating the values into decision making. He creates an app in such a manner that there is a transparency in fees and data protection policies. Okay, here the verb that we can use are organize, integrate, justify. So they establish company policies. Now, so he establishes company policies that promote financial education and user empowerment. So he empowers the user further through the app. So see, now what was the aim here? Here the scenario was launching a tech startup or developing a mobile app for personal finance management. So when we are talking about developing a mobile app for personal finance management, it is first recognizing that why there is a need for personal finance tool, because we have the tendency to overspend. Okay, he has researched and he has realized there is a tendency to overspend among the youth. Okay, so he wants to, the idea has been seeded in his mind that he has to develop a personal finance app which will be readily available on the mobile, and or which can be even connected with GPay or any of the gateways, payment gateways. And then he responds to it by engaging in started all the events, or he pitches into all the competitions wherein this idea can be further refined, and he builds a prototype. This is the second level of effective domain. And the third level of effective domain is he values, he demonstrates the passion by dedicating his time and energy and resources only to develop the user-friendly app. Okay, then organizing is he prioritizes ethical financial practices over anything else. So he mainly develops data. He talks about, he's only brooding about the data protection policies. So this is integration, justify, organize. Yeah, and the last one, he exemplifies the responsible fintech innovation by partnering with banks to provide ethical financial solutions. So this is how, acting consistently, he has exemplified by actually concretizing the idea that he had, abstract ideas that he had. And this is how, effective domain can be easily introduced, and effective domain can be easily evaluated among the students. Okay, when we are teaching or when we are promoting a particular aspect of behavior. So we can globally maintain a strong commitment to financial literacy and security by expanding such or by promoting such behavioral tendencies among the students when we are talking about effective domain in the classroom. Okay, so this is one scenario, and the second scenario which I wanted to give on of HRM is you can say, why am I giving so many scenarios? So that if each one of you can relate. to the respective stream of knowledge. Okay, that is the reason why I thought of giving example from each stream of the participants. Okay, whatever I understood from yesterday, I knew there are people from HR, there are some from hotel management, some from finance, okay, innovation, entrepreneurship, startups and all. So now 1 second, I'll just. So here the second example in HRM is implementing a diversity and inclusion program. So with the scenario here is a company's HR department is launching a diversity and inclusion program, okay, to create a more equitable workplace. See, these are two different words. Everyone knows equality and equity. Equality is just having equality. Equity is each one being exposed to same set of resources. That means the rich remains rich, but poor becomes richer. Okay, that is equitable. So to develop or to create a more equitable workplace, so to design or launch a diversity and inclusion program. So in this scenario, the receiving would be to enable the HR professionals to acknowledge the importance of diversity. Initially, to be aware of diversity, to acknowledge the importance of diversity, willingness to pay attention to diversity in the workplace. Okay, and this can be done by conducting a conference on inclusivity. So he recognizes a particular employee, or to enable the students of HRM and labor laws to recognize the diversity in workplace, to listen to the problems of different students who belong to different strata of the society, to show awareness. Okay, then the action is they pay attention to case studies about the companies benefiting from various diverse teams. Then responding here will be active participation and reaction. So the HR team participates in D&I training and workshops, okay, to enable the members of the team to participate in diversity and inclusion program. Okay, so here verb used are participate, discuss, show interest, and action would be the students take active role in organizing company-wide discussions on unconscious bias. So it should not be, see, there is no conscious bias anytime. It's unconscious, subtle, which runs through the system, which has to be addressed. So in valuing, the HR professionals will support inclusive hiring practices by advocating fair recruitment policies. So here the verbs used are demonstrate, support, appreciate. Okay, then they ensure job descriptions, like they get into the KRA, they ensure that the job descriptors are properly worded, and then the interview processes are are without any discrimination. They eliminate discrimination in the interview process. They advocate transparency in the overall process of screening and absorbing. Okay, so to enable an HR professional to support inclusive hiring practices by advocating in fair recruitment policies will be the objective. Okay, then at the next level would be organizing. So the company integrates diversity goals into its core HR policies. So here the student is you can say empowered to integrate diverse goals into its core HR policies. Okay, so they create a mentorship program for underrepresented employees, or if there is an employee who is not able to really excel because of language or certain linguistic challenges. So here in organizing, the employee first identifies, and then he creates a mentorship program for underrepresented employees and tracks the progress through key performance indicators. Okay, so this is the stage of organizing. And then when we talk about characterizing or internalization, it is the company exemplifies an inclusive culture by embedding diversity into leadership development programs. So there are even the leadership development programs, LDP, that we call, that also has inclusivity. So that is how it's characterizing. Okay, so he exemplifies, influences, advocates. So the HR team consistently promotes equity in leadership, and the company earns recognition for its inclusive processes. So I have given example from finance. entrepreneurship. Okay, now I embedded finance in entrepreneurship. That is, he's creating a finance app to improve the fiscal prudence. And then we also dealt with one example from HR. So till now, whatever I said, you can even try sending an emoji, no problem. I don't really expect anyone to speak, but then at least, I should be aware that people are listening to me. Okay. Can participants raise their hands in conformity with? Okay, thank you. Okay, so till now, whatever I told you or whatever I have been telling you, it's quite clear. Okay. Thank you. Shall I take it further? So now, as the cognitive domain was clear, affective is also clear, hopefully. It's receiving, responding, which is the third one. After receiving, responding.
Valuing.
Yes. And then after valuing?
Internalization.
Organizing and then characterizing. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Abhama. Okay. So, quickly, now before we go to psychomotor domain, like, cultivating creativity. So these are various scenarios I just jotted down. Foster curiosity, cultivating creativity. So these are various scenarios and innovation, okay, that can be taken up for affective domain when you are even drafting the question paper on affective domain. Okay. Now, shall we begin with the psychomotor? Is affective clear? So 1 hour, we have dealt with the affective domain. I started at 3:05, it's almost 4. Okay.
Yes,
I hope, yeah, thank you. So now when we talk about psychomotor domain, there are two theories, which come into practice. So, it's Bloom's taxonomy, of course, but also there is another, you can say, level of thinking, which is Dave's taxonomy. Okay, so we are going to draw a parallel between both. We are going to study both the taxonomies. Any one can be utilized or practiced. Both are equally accepted, okay, in academic arena. So when we talk about the psychomotor domain, it includes physical movements, as we all know. It includes coordination. It is use of motor skills. So psych is mind and motor is muscle. Okay. Now, before I go on, I just want to tell you all that I am going to show you question papers of different. Similarly, I have taken one question paper for hotel management, one for HRM, and one for financial literacy, wherein I'll be showing how all the three domains can be utilized in setting the question paper or in deciding the objective and subjective questions. Okay, so that all of them are equally taken care of when you're sitting the paper. So a particular student might not be good at simply parroting the facts and, narrating the facts, but he might be very good at affective domain. He might be very good at psychomotor domain. So we have to take into consideration all the three domains when we are setting a paper to evaluate the holistic development of a child or a student. Okay. So when we are talking about psychomotor, it is psych, that is the mind, and motor is the muscle. So now development of psychomotor domain, it requires practices and which is measured in terms of speed, precision, distance, procedures or techniques in execution. So yesterday, as I was just citing psychomotor domain, I cited one example of unlearning also as one of the aspects of psychomotor, wherein, there are certain skills which are to be unlearned before upskilling or reskilling. Okay, because, we are in the age of technology, so we need to unlearn many things in order to be abreast with the contemporary. Clear? So psychomotor domain, when we are talking about the basic, that comes to mind is imitation, manipulation, precision, articulation, and naturalization. So imitation is the lowest order of learning, which is simply copying a work of art. Okay, observing and patterning a behavior. after someone else. Like performance may be of very low quality. It is only copying. Like somebody is singing, you are just copying his style of singing. Or if somebody is like, we can say that learning to create a tool. So simply imitating, observing and patterning the behavior after someone else is imitation. It is a lowest order of thinking in psychomotor domain. Then comes manipulation. So when we talk about manipulation, it is being able to perform certain actions by following instructions and practicing. So he manipulates, he creates his own work, okay, after taking lessons and after reading about it. And then precision. Precision is basically refining, becoming more exact. Few errors are, of course, apparent, but then being just right is precision. Working and reworking on something so that it is just right. So like if we take example of cooking, basic skill like cooking also, imitation is seeing someone cook, observing and patterning the behavior. Manipulation is adding our own ingredient, okay, and performing certain actions by following instructions, but then adding our own essence also to it. Precision is cooking to so much of such an accuracy that we don't actually time the cooker, or we don't actually time the oil temperature. We just know we have precised it. Okay, the attaining a precision level wherein there is a refinement and becoming more exact. Okay, and by practice it happens automatically. Okay, we exactly know when the milk will boil without measuring the temperature of the boiling of the milk, and even need not measure the ingredients. By eye measurement itself we come to know the precision. So that is the level of precision. Okay, that is the third level in Bloom's taxonomy, that is to enable the students to be refined in becoming more exact. Okay, then articulation is series of actions. Like I told you yesterday when I was talking about the driving as a skill, here initially he only learns to drive, and later on he knows how to operate the clutch, brake, accelerator, as well as to receive a call, then change the song, to speak over the phone. Okay, not only the hand free, but even with the mobile, as he is driving with one hand on the steering. So that is articulation, wherein there is a harmony of various activities. It's the you can say collection of tasks. Internal consistency. A person attains internal consistency in the articulation stage. And finally, naturalization, having high level performance. It becomes so natural that you need not even think. Even if you're stressed, you can just remove the car and drive, even if there is a stressful situation. You know the direction. You need not even look at the map, or you need not even see where you are going. You just take the right, you just take the left. It is so naturalized in you, within you. So you see, when you are driving in a known path, okay, the speed that you have, the accuracy that you have, the acumen that you have is different from driving in a new path, isn't it? Because there is a naturalization if you are continuously following a particular road or continuously following a particular set of action. So these are the different levels. Now we are going to talk about, so now just to explain it further, imitation is learns by watching, as the word suggests. Manipulation is performed through memorization or following instructions. Precision is performing with more exact action by, more precise, okay, by practicing. Then articulation is several skills can be performed together in harmonious manner. And naturalization is high level of performance achieved with actions becoming second nature. Okay, so let it be cooking, let it be driving, let it be taking a class, or let it be gardening, let it be any skill, any skill. Okay, assembling a particular toolkit to form a comprehensive structure. Let it be planning the budget. So all the skills that we perform. When we talk about skills, it is basically when we have a concrete product in hand, okay, is skilling. Or when we reach somewhere from one point to the other, is that where we have reached, we have made a progress, which is visible, visibly making a progress is skilling, or psychomotor domain, wherein, an individual visibly makes a progress towards something. Culmination of the efforts into something is skilling, is psychomotor. Okay. So now if we have to compare, Okay, Dave's, it's a second image. These are the two images. Okay, now, 1 second. The first image. This is the first image. First image, as you can see, set, then guided response. I just spoke about imitation, manipulation, precision, articulation, and naturalization. Okay, that is Dave's taxonomy. Now, Bloom's taxonomy is set, guided response, mechanism, complex overt response, adaptation, and origination. So we are going to draw the difference, draw the parallel, and even see the key takeaways. And we will be also watching which one is better for us to imbibe in our classroom situation. It is based on the students, it is based on the subject that you teach, that you can either take Dave's or you can take Bloom's. Okay. So the first image that we saw, it's about set. First is readiness to act. When we are talking about readiness to act, it can be, physical readiness. Whenever I say readiness, okay, readiness are in different levels. Like when we are talking about readiness, it starts with perception. Do you all agree? Readiness starts with perception, basically. So when we talk about the perception, like perceiving something, okay. Now, like, it is a different, you can say, when we talk about perception, ability to use the sensory cues to guide motor activity. When I'm saying perception, to simplify it further, it is to enabling the students to first perceive the clues. Cues are the clues, sensory clues, to guide the motor activity. So this ranges from sensory stimulation through cue selection and then translation. So example, let me give you an example. The terms are very flamboyant, but just to give an example, we can say before the set, there is a perception. Okay, we have to categorize it from perception, then set. So readiness, before readiness to act, there has to be an ability to use the sensory cues. For example, there is in communication skills, if you are enhancing the communication skills among the students, okay. So detect non-verbal communication cues as well. Estimate where a particular, the non-verbal communication is, we also call it as para-language. Para-language is, not verbal about something, but they are vocal about it through their actions. So in a class of communication, perception is to be able to use the sensory cues to guide the motor activity. Okay, like, another simple example to give you, instead of communication, I can also give you an example of estimating. See, when you are playing cricket, okay, you estimate where a ball will land after it is thrown, and then moving in the correct location to catch the ball. Okay, now I think that is perception. Perception is beginning. Like you already perceive where a particular ball will land if you bat in a certain direction so that you can fetch more runs. Okay, or the bowler perceives where it would land, he accordingly positions himself to catch the ball. So that is perception. Or you can say adjust the heat of the, if we talk about the cooking as a skill, adjust heat of a stove to correct temperature. Okay, we did not time the activity, we need not even, we just perceive what is the correct temperature by the smell and taste of the food. Okay, adjust the height of the forks on a forklift by comparing where the forks are in relation to the pallet for hotel management. So these are, so perception is the first step in Bloom's taxonomy. We discussed about imitation and all those things were Dave's taxonomy. Okay, this is, I'll be drawing comparison so that there is no confusion as well. So when we talk about the set is readiness to act. Okay, it includes mental, physical, emotional sets. So these three sets are dispositions. Okay, and these are the predetermined dispositions of a person. So we know how a person will respond to different scenarios. These are also called as mindset. Now you can remember this level as mindset. Instead of just remembering it as set, you can remember it as mindset, which is readiness to act. It could be physical mindset, mental mindset, or emotional mindset. Example, perception was before set. Okay, perceiving is before set. So it is not explicitly mentioned, but it goes without saying that perception is perceiving or being ready with the sensory cues to attain the motor skills. Okay. Now here set is readiness to act. Like for example, to enable a hotel trainee mentally mentally enable him, or to enable him to prepare him or enable him to greet the guests is readiness to act. First, the trainee is prepared to greet the guests. There is a mock scenario given, or there are certain list of words, courteous or polite words that are offered, through which there is an act of readiness in him physically, mentally, emotionally to greet the guests. That is set induction, we say. That is the first level. Okay. Then second is guided response. When we talk about guided response, it is trying actions with guidance. Like now he sees he is shadowing his senior. Shadowing the senior means he follows the senior's demonstration of setting up a dining table, or when we are talking about greeting the guest, he is also there with his senior when the senior is greeting the guest. So that is guided response. Okay. Then mechanism is developing confidence and accuracy. So he is developing a confidence. He knows different languages, or he learns the courteous words in various languages, so that he can deal with guests from different nationality. So that is mechanism. He himself, he has the urge to learn, so that he can exude that warmth when he's greeting the guests. Okay, that is under mechanism, developing confidence and accuracy. So for example, another example in hotel management is chef in training can chop vegetables with correct technique. So initially in set, he just readies himself to chop the vegetables. Guided response is he tries to shadow his senior in chopping the vegetables. And next is mechanism is he himself chops the vegetables. He can chop the vegetables with correct technique. Okay. Then overt response, complex overt response. You might be knowing that word overt and covert, right? So overt is which is visible, okay, evident. So complex overt response, when we say, it is performing difficult tasks very smoothly. Okay, he does it seamlessly. He blends seamlessly to concoctions, or in hotel management, or he blends two policies, or he can merge two procedurals to give a new product. So that is complex overt response. So here a chef delivers dishes quickly during peak hours. So in peak hours, like when during the dinner time or the lunch time, he is able to deliver the dishes quickly. That is complex overt response. Okay. See, the words seem so flamboyant and bombastic, but actually if you get into the meaning and the root of the word, it's very easy. So I told you it starts with perception. Then there is readiness to act, which is set. Then guided response, which is shadowing the senior or trying actions with guidance. Okay, somebody is hand holding. So in this level of psychomotor domain, it is the student is hand held. Okay, guided response. Then like while driving also, first set is, first perception is you are developing that confidence to go on the road, driving independently. First you see, before the first class of training driving, we have to make our mindset to get into the mode of driving independently first. So readiness setting is readiness to act. Then guided response is there is one person sitting next to you who also has all the controls. So you are trying his actions under his guidance. Then mechanism is you develop confidence and accuracy. You start driving. You start the car even before the the tutor tells you to. Then complex overt responses is performing difficult tasks like taking a sharp left, sharp right, reverse. Okay, complex overt responses. Then adaptation, when we say, is modifying skills for different situations. Like now in hotel management, modifying skills for different situation is how you handle a VIP guest differently from a regular guest. So you learn the protocols. Okay, when we are into the stage of adaptation, it is getting to know various protocols, modifying the skills for various scenarios or various situations. Okay. Then origination is creating new techniques or approaches. Like there is a hotel chain. It develops its own check-in experience using AI. It doesn't depend on, even the AI is utilized to accept the check-in of the guest so that he directly can get into the room. He need not even go to the reception. So that is origination. I hope I have made it very clear from my side. So I'll be giving you examples also. So set. So we have seen these two taxonomies. Okay, one is Bloom, which is set, guided response, mechanism, complex overt response, adaptation, and origination. And Dave's taxonomy is imitation, manipulation, precision, articulation, and naturalization. We are going to see the difference. Okay, so I have already spoken about imitation, but yet to just reiterate the points, this focuses on attaining precision and fluency in movements. Like imitation is observing and copying. Okay, so he repeats. Now, other examples also I have given here, like new hotel staff watches and repeats how to fold napkins elegantly. Manipulation is practicing with control. Okay, he starts handling guest complaints under supervision. Then comes precision, is performing accurately and consistently. He does it in so much of precision that housekeeper, for example, he makes his own perfect salad chops symmetrically without mistakes. There is a symmetry in his chops. Okay. Then articulation, combining movements efficiently. So a front desk officer seamlessly manages check-ins also, calls as well as guest inquiries. So there is articulation when there is a seamless combination of movements efficiently. The naturalization is attaining mastery over or performing automatically. There is an automation in your behavior. That is naturalization. So a head chef creates new signature dishes without needing reference recipes. Okay. So now this key differences and comparisons, if you see, okay, if we categorize them under focus, final stage, approach, and example. So Bloom's the first image and Dave's the second image. Okay, is progression from readiness to innovation. When we see this is progression from readiness to innovation. Yes or no? While Dave's is refining skills to automatic mastery. Okay. Now, when we talk about the final stage, in Bloom's, it is creativity and new technique. Now, when we talk about the Bloom's taxonomy, that is the first figure, it is creativity. Okay. We are, I gave you an example, no, just now. So many examples I gave you. Origination, like creating new techniques, new recipe altogether. Okay. But here, if you see the final stage, it is just fluency and effortless execution. So see, you can adopt both Bloom's and Dave's taxonomy based on the student's behavior or based on the lesson that has to be taught. Okay, whether you are aiming at origination or you are aiming at naturalization. Based on that, you can decide on which model of taxonomy to adopt. Okay. Now, approach in Bloom's is, it emphasizes basically on adaptability and problem solving. While under Dave's model, it emphasizes precision and motor control. Okay. And example is here, a hotel manager innovates a guest experience system. There the example is a chef creates a dish instinctively, okay, without conscious effort. So there is naturalization in Dave's, okay, and in Bloom's there is, as I have already told you, wait, let me show you the slide where there are two. Organization. Okay, so these are the two different taxonomies under psychomotor. So if you can also, I have also taken into consideration the different streams, as I told you in the beginning, HRM and entrepreneurship and innovation. So if you see the first one, Bloom's psychomotor taxonomy, here we are talking about set, readiness. Okay, I told you first is perception, then the set. So when we are talking about readiness, the verbs that you can use are prepare, to enable the student to position or to recognize, to respond. Okay, and the HRM example is HR manager prepares for recruitment interviews. That is the set, to set mentally, emotionally, physically. Okay. Then entrepreneurship example will be entrepreneur prepares a business plan. An innovator identifies a market need. Okay. Then in guided response, trying under the supervision. So here it is handheld. The candidate is under supervision. It's guided response. So follows, attempts, repeats, practices. Okay, he is following. He is shadowing. Okay, so like a new HR trainee follows instructions for payroll processing. He is under somebody's tutelage, and he follows the HR trainee instructions. And then under entrepreneurship, it can be like entrepreneur practices pitching to investors. Or if it is innovation, example is the team follows a structured innovation workshop. Okay, that is guided response. Then mechanism, if you talk about mechanism, it is adjust, refine, coordinate, and organize. So HR executive performing with confidence is mechanism. So HR executive confidently conducts interviews without supervision. Okay. Then entrepreneurship example can be organizes business operations smoothly. Innovator refines a prototype design. I told you about the app also, isn't it? So complex overt response can be execute, master, implement, enhance. The same the app example can be taken in this also, in which can be, it can fit into these steps as well. Okay, so when we are talking about complex overt response, here HR professional smoothly handles multiple employee grievances. It's complex overt response. Okay, entrepreneur efficiently manages cash flow during expansion, and an R&D team executes full product testing cycle in innovation example. So adaptation is modifying skills for different situations. I told you guest list for VIP, how to treat a VIP differently from the regular guest. So the having a protocol, following the protocol, or modifying skills for a particular scenario, not being rigid, being flexible. Okay. So modify, customize, tailor, integrate, adjust. These are the verbs. So here the HRM example is HR leader adapts HR policies for a global workforce. So he is not only limited to his perception for the national workforce, but also he is thinking of the global workforce, global timelines, cultural sensitivity, gender sensitizing. Okay, he takes into consideration various adaptations. So he adapts, he molds, okay, to different scenarios or different sensitivities. Okay, then entrepreneur modifies business strategies based on competition. And for innovation, example is engineer customizes a product based on user feedback. Like based on the user feedback, he adapts or customizes a certain code. He codifies in such a manner that it can be used by all. Now, if you go by Vande Bharat, you have the seat embossed also. The seat numbers embossed also. So that the R&D team must have executed, this step in order to even help the visually challenged passengers. So, and there are certain, there are ramps and there are so many adjustments within the train wherein even specially abled can seamlessly use. So that is adaptation. So not only thinking about the general or the majority, but also taking into consideration the needs and the requirements of the, we need not say minority, but then specially abled. Okay, so that is adaptation. Like I told you in hotel management, not only dealing with the regular guests, but also dealing with celebrity guests or media, dealing with the politician. Okay, so the protocols are different. So the adaptation, that is modifying or customizing, tailoring, integrating, and adjusting. The origination, when we are talking about origination, it is designing your own. Okay, from complex overt response, adaptation to origination. You are designing your own, you are inventing your own construct, you are formulating your own product. So here HR innovates a new performance appraisal system altogether. Or entrepreneur, you can say, he invents a new business model, and researcher formulates an AI-powered automation tool. So this is from being ready. I told you perception, set, guided response, mechanism, complex overt response, adaptation, and origination. Okay, so from readiness to creating new techniques to origination. I hope I am clear with all the steps.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I gave you different examples as well. If you want, I can give you some more examples so that you understand it better. I told you about maneuvering a car, that is the best example that you can. So unconscious incompetency to conscious competency that we can say. That is what is for psychomotor domain. Like maneuver a car in a tight parallel parking spot as well. That is complex overt response. And I can show you, for various occupational standards, what are the various levels of psychomotor domain that I'll be showing you later on based on national occupational standards. So what is expected? Let it be in the domain of agriculture or banking, finance and insurance, or even in healthcare. So there are certain, you must have heard about qualification pack and national occupational standards. Okay, so the national occupational, there is something called sector skill councils. There are sector skill councils for various skill sets. So they basically set the national skill qualification framework by deciding what should be under set, what should be under guided response, under mechanism, under complex overt response, adaptation, and the organization. Okay, so basically you can say now sector skill council or national occupational standards or qualification packs, these are the terms which are very interdependently or dependently used, okay, when we are talking about psychomotor domain. Is it clear? Fine. Now when we are comparing, we have already learned this set, guided response, mechanism, complex overt response, adaptation, modifying, that is which is modifying skills, and origination. The second one is imitation, okay, which is, I have already told you that with various examples, like imitation is just copying, manipulation is practicing, precision is performing accurately, articulation is coordinating movements effectively, and naturalization is mastery and automation. So here the verbs for imitation in one bird's eye view. So observe, mimic, repeat. HRM example, he mimics senior HR in onboarding employees. Entrepreneurship example, he observes successful startups. Innovation example, follows a competitor's product design. Under manipulation, he handles, performs, practices. So HR trainee practices using HR software. Okay. In entrepreneurship, he just practices negotiation with suppliers. Innovators, he practices rapid prototyping methods. Or now in HRM, you can also say, once you are giving a script, he knows how to attend a call, or how to call, or how to write a welcome note. He practices it. That is manipulation. Okay, he practices it. He might add his own, in welcome note, he might just add his own line or his signature line in the end, when in the precision stage. Okay, so under precision, it is performing accurately, like HR specialist accurately processes payroll without errors, and he calculates the tax without any error. Okay, there are softwares available, but just to explain to you precision. And then entrepreneur executes a marketing campaign with precision. Engineer perfects a machine learning algorithm. Okay, these are all for precision. If you take an example of cooking, you can say accurately cooks a particular cuisine without any variance in taste or quality. Okay, that is precision. Then articulation, when we are talking about articulation, it is coordinating movements effectively. So like integrate, synchronize, refine. So HR manager seamlessly integrates AI tools in recruitment. Okay, there can be a software which is used for attendance, ERP system for, leave indent, or there can be a ERP or a software or anything for taking into account the late comings, then, the deduction of half days, so on and so forth. So in articulation, he seamlessly integrates the AI tools into recruitment, AI tools into day-to-day behavioral aspect of the employees. Okay. And in entrepreneur example, he synchronizes operations across multiple branches. Okay, that is, he takes care of the finance also operations, he takes care of the content, marketing, CSR. So he synchronizes operations of all the departments together. That is articulation. Clear? And when we talk about innovation, he refines a new technology process for efficiency. He is able to refine the process and develops most efficient outcome. That is in innovation example. And naturalization, as I told you, master, automate, innovate. So leader instinctively solves complex HR crisis. Okay. Or entrepreneur instinctively makes key business decisions. Or a designer automatically innovates solutions without structured thinking. Without even thinking if there is a crisis, he innovates solutions. That is naturalization. So these are the comparative analysis of both. But if you see the key takeaway, we can say that Bloom's model is more progressing from learning to creating. And Dave's model is about refining and automating skills until they become the second nature. Okay, but both the models complement each other in all the three streams that I have considered. Is it clear? Till now, whatever I said is clear. For this set readiness and guided response, can you give any one example? See, for both the figures, for that matter, can you give any one example for Dave's taxonomy and Bloom's taxonomy? Any one of you? Any one example from your own sphere of learning. Effective teaching, okay. So which, very good, sir, effective teaching when we are talking about. So under Dave's taxonomy and Bloom's taxonomy, how can you give? I will definitely be explaining how effective teaching can be structured in both the taxonomies, but then can you give it a try? Reflective teaching, okay. So if we talk about reflective and effective teaching, okay, taking the same, both taxonomies, okay. So we are talking about the perception aspect. Initially, perception is the readiness to teach, readiness to mold. We say, the destiny of the nation is built in her classrooms. So first, willingness to teach, readiness, okay, mentally, emotionally, and physically being ready to teach. So the teacher prepares herself to learn, to teach, okay. Then guided response is, in the B.Ed, not only learning all the theories, but mock teaching, or you can say micro teaching. Micro teaching, there are various skills, which are focused. Like under guided response, the candidate who has the aspirations to teach effectively, he takes into consideration, he breaks the macro skills into micro, like only blackboard one day, or whiteboard, or only operating the smart board. In guided response, he might, under the tutelage, only talk about the explanation, how to explain, how to introduce, how to set in depth. Okay, so that is how to introduce a topic. And then under micro skilling, questioning skills, just concentrating on questioning skills, just concentrating on Flanders observation skills. Like Flanders observation is where to pause, where to use silence, how to motivate the students to speak. So that is all under the guided response. Like under the tutelage of the senior teacher, the candidate is learning all these things. Okay. Then mechanism is performing it with confidence. So there is a demonstration of teaching. So he performs with confidence. He uses all the skills, micro skills, uses the blackboard judiciously, explains the concept seamlessly. Okay. Or, even motivates the students to speak up or answer in the class. And then performing it with a lot of confidence, like using multiple teaching aids in order to draw the same concept in the classroom. So that is mechanism. So he adjusts, refines, coordinates, organizes. Okay. Then complex overt responses, executes mastery in implementing a particular lesson plan. So efficiently manages to teach without even reading the script or manages to teach even in the absence of PowerPoint presentation. So that is complex overt responses by not only managing the classroom, by drawing the attention of all the students for more than 45 minutes, because the span of attention ranges from 30 to 45 minutes. So to draw the attention or to sustain the attention of the student beyond 45 minutes becomes a challenge at times. But when he reaches the complex overt response level, he will manage by smoothly handling different students, by taking into consideration their multiple, diverse needs, okay, multiple and diverse needs. Clear? Then adaptation, when we talk about, he adapts to the change, like under supervision, teaching without being supervised, and under different stimuli, modifying his skills of learning and teaching under different stimuli. And then origination is he comes up with his own innovative technique of teaching, wherein he need not depend upon, it is like, first giving example and then taking the concept, whatever innovative methods that he wants to adopt, like creative pedagogy that we talk about. Is it clear? Somebody, whoever asked me the question, whoever mentioned in the chat box, how effective teaching can be integrated in all these steps. Clear? Reflective teaching is like reflecting. Yes, thank you, sir. Reflective teaching is basically reflecting, having a journal. Okay, reflecting upon one's own teaching. Like yesterday, I reflected upon what were the shortcomings that could be overcome today. So I jotted down the points. That is reflective teaching. I jotted down that there are the set of audience is different from the usual set of audience that I face in the day-to-day classroom. So accordingly, the examples have to be changed. Accordingly, the lesson has to be planned. The session needs to be worded. So that is how reflective teaching is. You reflect upon your own skills and your own performance, and then you manipulate it, change it, articulate it. Okay, that is psychomotor domain using this. Any other example anyone can give me? Teaching is done, HRM is done, finance, app designing is done. Anything else that can be given as an example by any one of you? I am only talking for the last 1.5 hours. I hope I am clear till now, whatever I said. If not pit pat patter, but then at least you know cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domain. Okay, you are at least well versed with the terms and well versed with the steps, isn't it? Could I achieve that at least? Could I achieve that? Okay. Gauri madam has said yes. You can even express your satisfaction using emojis, no problem. Jyoti ma'am, you can put your camera off. Jyoti ma'am, you can put your camera off, no problem. Yeah, thank you. So anything else that you want to cite as an example for Dave's taxonomy and Bloom's taxonomy?
Ma'am, can I give
Yes,
one
please,
example?
please, I'll be more than delighted.
Like initially, a child is enrolled into a school. He learns the basic alphabet, syllables. Then he learns constructing, small words. Words are further constructed to make sentences. He learns to read and write. Then he learns to think for himself. So then he will be able to write on his own.
Yes.
So these will be the levels of Bloom's taxonomy. But
Okay.
at the same time, once he learns to read and write and is being able to, articulate on his own, the further refinement in his writing, like if he wants to be an author, trying out with different genres first,
Yes.
and getting into a more specialized genre. So that would be Dave's model, that is self-refinement, which I think so. Instead of just considering it as a separate one, we can say it's a extension of a Bloom's taxonomy itself. Like after attaining a creation and creativity, further refinement into that particular creative zone.
Yes,
Create-
true. So if he's if he's reading a particular genre, then he also tries to read different authors who write in the same genre. Then he has his own selection. Then he reads the same author. Very good. Thank you, Abba ma'am. Very good. Excellent. So you have understood the different steps of Dave's as well as Bloom's. Okay. Anything else? Any other example anyone wants to give? Shall we go to the question paper setting then? Somebody has written something, I think. Okay. So we can use both exchange and use the steps as well. Okay. Now, if we take into consideration, the skill development, just to go through certain aspects of skilling, like I was talking about the effective teaching, right? Similarly, there are various skills, in skill development. We can say that the basic administering an injection, okay, inject a saline solution into a practice model to gain accuracy. So first of all, the readiness to get into healthcare. Second is to work under guidance of somebody. Then to administer to a practice model with accuracy and proper technique. Then performing a procedure in a simulatory sequence, under simulation, suturing a mock surgery, suturing in a mock surgery, or handling instruments. I'm just giving you a healthcare example as well. Then, trying to perform CPR on a mannequin, and then actually getting to know, working again under supervision with the patients, and then dealing with such situations with patients. Okay. Then taking adaptation is working differently under different circumstances and attaining it originality. Okay. So these are the various ways in which a particular, so if you say imitation will be like copying a simple hairstyle technique, manipulation will be using your own, setting up your own style of connoisseur, or precision, uh, attaining precision in specific style guidelines. Okay, then articulation will be creating a specific, you can say, technique of ensuring that a particular style is being done. And then naturalization is just automatic behavior. So just you can do it even without seeing the mirror or engaging yourself in conversation with someone else, maneuvering very skillfully. Okay, so these are the various. So now let me share the screen and show you how a paper can be see. Basically, when we are talking about a slow learner, manipulation and imitation, okay, or guided response, set and guided response. An advanced learner can be the higher levels. Now let me show you the paper. So I have taken question paper. I've just drafted question paper in order to show you how it can be done. Okay, now hotel management exam, suppose it's a exam, just 25 marks, how you can answer the questions or how you can specify the domain. Whatever domain it specifies, assesses is also specified. Okay, now we can split the paper into two sections, A and B. Now A can be exclusively cognitive. Wherein these things I have written for your comprehension. Okay, we need not write it in the paper. So the focus when we are talking about cognitive domain is knowledge, understanding, and problem solving. Clear? So 2 marks for knowledge, that is remembering. Then you can have 2 marks for understanding. For each level, you can have 2 marks. Okay, that is how you can split the marks. So when we are talking about knowledge, just define hospitality management and explain its significance. Okay. Then understanding is explain the difference between front office operations and housekeeping operations in a hotel. Application, when we are talking about guest complaints about a room service delay. As a front desk manager, what steps would you take to resolve the issue? Is application. Then analysis or analyzing is analyze the impact of customer feedback on hotel reputation management with an example. Okay, then evaluation is evaluate the role of sustainability practices in modern hotel management. So that is how you can streamline the questions, which will cover, the focus will be on knowledge, understanding and problem solving. Okay, all the 6 levels are taken care of, 5 levels are taken care of. Create, you can also write here, create also can be included. Like, can you come up with one solution in hotel management to reduce the waste? Okay, so you can also ask such questions which will evaluate their creativity. Okay, that can be also added. Now, section B is affective domain. This is just a sample paper that I have given you. So here the focus is on attitude, testing the attitude of the students, testing the professional ethics, imbibing the professional ethics and guest relations. Okay, so receiving will be towards awareness of hospitality ethics. So when we are talking about it, we can ask questions on why is guest privacy and confidentiality important in hotel management. Fine. And then this is just receiving, awareness of ethics. Now in responding, interacting with guests positively. Suppose we are taking that into consideration. A question can be asked as, describe how a hotel receptionist should handle an angry guest to maintain a professional image. Okay. Now when we are talking about valuing or demonstrating professional ethics, we can write, you notice a colleague being rude to a guest. How would you intervene and handle the situation while maintaining professional ethics? So such questions, which are known as personal response type questions, can be asked to gauge the different levels of affective domain. Okay, to evaluate the response, to evaluate the receiving stage and valuing stage. Clear? Then section C, psychomotor domain, if you are talking about, then you can speak about here the focus will be on practical skills, service execution and operational expertise. So here imitation, like you can ask question on a new hotel staff observes the table setting process. So describe the correct order of placing plates, cutlery and napkins. So it is more into description of certain procedure. Okay. Then manipulation, that is practicing with control. You can write down the correct steps of greeting a guest at check-in, till escorting them to their room. Okay. Then precision, you can say describe step-by-step process of preparing a standard hotel bed with hospital corners. Clear? So that is how executing precision. So if there is a palliative patient or geriatric patient, how will you arrange or manipulate with precision? Okay, with hospital corners. Clear? Like with clinical corners, you can say, instead of writing hospital corners, with clinical provisions. How can you manipulate a particular bed with clinical provisions? Okay. Then articulation, a banquet event is scheduled in the hotel. How would you coordinate between the kitchen, housekeeping and front office teams to ensure smooth execution? So thus questions can be asked, in hotel management to evaluate the students on different levels of domain, different levels of each domain. Is it clear? How to find out and how to maintain thing about the students? I did not get your question actually. Okay, the first sample paper is clear to you all. You can respond using emojis also, no problem. Okay, the same set of hands. I hope all the 56 are there. Okay, multiple responses. Okay, thank you. I can understand it's a weekend and you are forced to listen to taxonomy. Could be even against your wishes, but it will definitely help you. Okay. Okay, the second paper, and I would appreciate if any one of you can frame a question paper tomorrow and display it. We can give you share screen option so that you can display using the different rungs of different domains of taxonomy. Okay. Now we have already seen hotel management. Let us see human resource management. Okay. So section A again, define HRM and explain its primary functions, which is remembering. Understanding, explain the difference between recruitment and selection. Okay, how different is recruitment from selection? Is whether he has understood or no. He cannot simply give by merely parroting the fact. He needs to understand it further to answer this. Then application is a company is facing high employee turnover. As an HR manager, suggest to employee retention strategies. Okay, to reduce attrition. I spoke about it already. Okay. Then analysis is analyze the impact of workplace diversity on team productivity. Provide an example. Evaluation, evaluate the importance of employee training and development in improving workplace performance or workforce performance, or a capacity building, you can say. Okay, that is now this FDP which is conducted, it is for capacity building. Some capacity is built, definitely, even if you are unconsciously or subconsciously hearing the concept. Okay, so definitely evaluate the importance of such training sessions in improving the workforce performance is under evaluation. Then affective domain for HRM is very easy to write. I mean, the question to frame the questions, like why is again confidentiality, employee records, salary should not be disclosed. Why is the confidentiality important when it comes to the salary and the medical history of an employee? Okay. Then describe how an HR professional should respond to an employee's complaint about workplace harassment, which is very important nowadays. The POSH rules. Okay. Any complaint about the anything pertaining to gender sensitivity. So how will you address? That is responding. And valuing, a manager is unfairly promoted, okay, over certain employees while ignoring others. So as an HR professional, how would you address this ethical issue? So if you want to blow the whistle, if you want to be a whistleblower, what aspects would you consider and how will you blow the whistle? Tactfully, without, I mean, by maintaining anonymity if you need. Okay, or how can you even seek RTI in such an unfair promotion practices? Okay, then section C can be like you can ask questions on practical HR skills, documentation, execution of HR tasks. You can ask questions on observing and copying HR practices, like there is a new HR trainee, how to conduct an employee orientation session or outline the key steps in employee orientation. Manipulation can be draft a brief job description, JD, or HR for a position like HR executive in a company. What all points will you add when you are writing a JD for calling an interview for a position like HR executive? Then precision is explain the correct step-by-step process for conducting a structured performance appraisal meeting with an employee. Then articulation can be coordinating, like company is planning training and development program, again, as I told you, FDP program. How should the HR department coordinate with managers, trainers, employees to ensure successful execution? Now here, I can definitely understand the effort that has gone into arranging this transformative education workshop. Okay, so it's not easy to arrange and to coordinate and to develop a program. So Shagupta madam and sir have really taken the effort to arrange this training program, which is really difficult. So how would you, if you are planning a training program, what would be the steps to successfully execute the program, to ensure successful execution of the program? So these are the questions for psychomotor domain. So skill is any skill. It can be overt skill, covert skill. Okay, any skill, but then I told you how do you define a skill? It is either progression into something, or it is concretizing an abstract idea, or it is bringing forth a product, or at least a product idea. Okay, or changing the behavior, appraising and bringing forth certain positive changes in the behavior. Could be in performance, attitude. Okay, so that is how the three domains can be balanced. Clear? In a question paper. Bloom's taxonomy was revised by Dave. Now, Bloom's taxonomy came into existence. I mean, it was proposed in the year 1954. And with the attributions of Simpson, Dave revised the Bloom's taxonomy in 1975. Okay. Affective domains I have taught, no, the 5 levels already. I was teaching that since the beginning of the class. The 5 levels of affective domain. Receiving, responding. That's what we learned, no, today. Okay. So what do we see? I have completed with whatever I had decided. Okay. So I have shown you one question paper also. So what I would propose, or encourage you to do is set a question paper, including all the 3 domains. I mean, or incorporating all the 3 domains, different levels of each domain, so that we can discuss the question paper tomorrow before I start with the classroom management. Now, classroom management is going to be much more technical, because I plan to see, usually whenever we talk about classroom management, we talk about various theories. Like, there are various theories like humanistic approach to classroom management, social constructivism approach to classroom management. Vygotski's, you must be aware of zonal proximal theory, and then behavioristic approach, cognitive approach, Bandura social cognitive theory, and then multiple intelligence by Howard Gardner. All these things in half an hour or 1 hour, and then the remaining 1 hour about various strategies that can be adapted, like experiential, problem-based learning, demonstration method, and then time management in a classroom, communication and interpersonal skills to develop in the classroom, or classroom organization and environment. Okay, managing behavioral problems. All these things we will cover tomorrow. So Bloom's taxonomy, both cognitive, all the 3 domains are done with. Yes, madam, I'll share the PPT. Yeah, I'll share the PPT with Chef Gupta, madam, once the sessions are done. Because I have compiled the PPT into one. It's a single PPT for all the 3 days. So I can share it once the 3rd day is also done. I hope I was better than yesterday, hopefully.
Any questions, participants?
Dr. Jayabala,
Yeah.
can I add my points of view today?
Yeah,
Actually,
please go ahead. Yeah,
I really appreciate the efforts that you have taken today to explain so many facets of Bloom technology, and basically to understand how it could be applied.
Thank
But
you, madam. Thank
I
you.
have one, what we can say, my point of view, like, because when we talk about this outcome-based learning for the students,
Yeah.
when such kind of training program happens for the faculty members, I'm equally concerned about the outcome-based learning for the faculty members, whatever techniques or theories they are learning for the teaching learning process. So
Yeah.
in that connection, like this Bloom's taxonomy, like I'm using or rather applying it since long time. I'm in the academics in last 21 years. Before that, I was in industry for 10 years. So that way, I have been using this Bloom's taxonomy. But every time when I'm using, like say for example, if you see, there are around 20 verbs in each of these parameters. Like from remembering to creating, each of them have about around 15 to 20 verbs.
Yes, ma'am.
And in the Indian context, where we see that there is some lacuna or some kind of system limitations for the faculty members to understand it, Because say, for example, the faculty members in the city like Pune and all that, or Mumbai, they may be having that exposure. They probably may be in a position to use these kind of advanced terms and may probably make use of that to increase the effectiveness of the teaching learning process. But according to me, when it comes to the actual learning that is going to happen by using this, somewhere because of this huge, because ultimately Bloom's taxonomy is definitely, there is no question, it's a proven that it is something which is the best in terms of format or standardizing the, what we can say, mechanism.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the learning outcome, particularly faculty learning outcome, I somehow see that sometimes it may confuse the faculty members to understand exactly, because when it is a process, when that teaching process is going on, actually deriving the right, like format or right verb or right particular objective that is to be imbibed in any particular teaching concept, that becomes somehow limited. So
Yeah.
according to me, what I think, instead of just because see, something is better than nothing, what I think so, means learning too much about Bloom's taxonomy and not in the position to apply anything.
Yeah.
Instead of that, I basically believe into learning something which probably could be implemented even at a root level, at a remotest what we can say, the level where probably these kind of things could not be like accessible. So there is one more structure which comes in mind, like, which is I think solo structured observe learning outcome.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is one thing which just considers 6 elements.
Okay.
Like, it is basically talking about the teachers to create that situation or create that impact where the student is from the situation of no idea to the established ideas, or maybe the analytical ideas. Okay, so
Okay.
they are in the position to go from this stage to this stage. So no idea, then one idea, many idea, related idea, and then how they are evidential. So
Okay.
even these 6 elements or 6 steps in the teaching learning process are explained to the faculty member, and they're able to understand that in their own way of teaching learning. That will be more effective than learning so many things from Bloom's taxonomy
Yes.
and probably not able to apply anything of it.
Yeah, I agree with you, ma'am. So I'll also research this solo that you have mentioned. Okay. And then see, unconsciously or subconsciously, we
But
have
the
been
word
using.
itself is there. The word in that itself is structure of observed learning outcome. So
Okay.
it's all about observation, that you are not just teaching them, you are able to even observe that, yes, I
Yeah.
could see the change in the student which I'm expecting to happen.
Yeah. Okay. So there is a, there
Okay.
is a evidential change.
Evidential change, yes, correct.
Yes. Okay, ma'am. I'll definitely talk about it tomorrow. I'll research and I'll also talk about it. And these verbs that we are talking about, no, the different domains, we unconsciously we use it, but we were not aware that it belongs to a particular domain, probably.
Yeah, that's very true, that we unconsciously use it. But again, that is something trial and error, na? Like,
Yes,
it
true.
may sometimes, or it may not work sometimes. So
True.
instead of that, consciously applying something and making it to work, or seeing it to work
Yeah.
happening,
Yeah.
that is more useful than like trial and error.
So whatever you have mentioned now can be also used in a rural setup. Isn't
Rural
it?
setup, that is what because when we talk about the application on a mass,
Yes.
that time probably somewhere the Bloom's taxonomy may not serve the purpose, because they may not have that much exposure, or probably they may not be having that much in-depth idea about the
Yeah.
taxonomy, and ultimately use it on a scale where they are using it, even for the students whom they are interacting with.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, I'll definitely take this insight from you and apply.
This is my always take. Okay, means whenever we are learning something, my point is always to see that I am able to see something happening. That is what is a learning. Otherwise, if that change is not observed, just knowing or understanding is not enough, according to me. You should be able to create. So create is ultimately the last option. So how that distance from remembering to creating could be, like standardized further by not creating confusion with the words. That is the ultimate
Yeah.
objective.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, Geeta, ma'am.
Yeah.
Shubhra, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
So, shall we call it a day?
Yeah, we can. So it's very It's very good. We can conclude today's very enlightening session, ma'am. And it's we extend our heartfelt gratitude to you for your in-depth insights into Bloom's taxonomy and Dave's taxonomy, and your explanations on cognitive levels, action verbs, domains of learnings, and key concepts like set, guided response, mechanism, complex overt response, adaptation, organizations, and so many like imitation, this is a very simple one, imitation, manipulation, precision, articulations, naturalizations, all these things, ma'am, and the structured question paper design, what you have shown, everything was very truly enlightening. And we look forward to another enriching session tomorrow. And
Yeah.
thank you all. And have a great
Can I base my session on theories tomorrow? Will it not be?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
can I just say something?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. So today I got to know the different facets of the Bloom's taxonomy, because usually most of the time what is seen is, unfortunately, even while we are designing our academic
Calendar. Syllabus.
only the cognitive aspect or cognitive domain of the Bloom's taxonomy is being taken into consideration. Now, I till date was not aware that there is another aspect to it, which is called as affective domain. But now I realize that it is equally important, because the ultimate aim of the education is just not to create brilliant minds, but also to have an empathetic heart. So so what we are talking about, an emotional quotient, which I think so seems to be lacking in many of the brilliant minds these days. So I feel if we are also able to concentrate on the affective domain equally while designing our syllabus, or while designing the questions for assessment, it would equally contribute towards developing the emotional quotient, which is so very important irrespective of the field that we are into.
Yes, ma'am. True. Okay, that is the reason why affective domain has to be included, and we were including the personal response type questions unknowingly, like we were not aware that it belongs to a particular domain.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that. It was very insightful session.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
feedback link is shared.
Yeah, I'll also get to see the feedback.
Yeah, ma'am, we can share you that. Sure. I'll give you all the 3 days feedback to you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.